What's up everybody, it's Chloe Gaming here. So, Uncharted The Lost Legacy is of course coming out in just 2 months from now, and that means we're getting very close to it. And a question of mine, or a question I'd pretty much like to answer in this video is it possible for The Lost Legacy to be a better game than any of the main Uncharted games? Of course, we're just talking about the single player, right? Because the multiplayer that it's going to include is going to be the same as Uncharted 4 multiplayer. I want to know pretty much your thoughts about this in the comments too. I'd really like to hear some of your own theories about this and how you pretty much look at it this way, because in the past, you know, when we hadn't seen the E3 footage yet of The Lost Legacy, and we just got that, you know, PSX announcement, which looked really cool, of course, showed you Chloe and Nadine on the rooftops pretty much at night. You know, we didn't know really if it was going to be the same length of an Uncharted game yet at that point. It was probably just going to be a couple of hours. If you would have asked me right then, you know, could this be just as cool as any of the main Uncharted games, I would have said hell no, pretty much. You know, it's still going to be very cool and I'm gonna look forward to it, but it simply won't be able to compare to like a main Uncharted game. But as we got more news for the game, and as we saw that E3 demo right now, or the trailer at least that we got, right, and we heard that the game is apparently gonna be the full 6 to 8 hour length at least, very similar to some of the earlier Uncharted games, according to Kurt Margenau, one of the directors of the game, actually, of Naughty Dog. And as we saw, yeah, that story trailer revealed where we pretty much saw this beautiful locations, the vistas, you know, like just everything about it, right? The story even that kind of we got some teasers of. I'm thinking more and more like, man, this game could actually be very much up to par, if not better than some of the main Uncharted games. And of course, you know, I think the biggest gripe really to me personally is that Uncharted is Nathan Drake to me for a big part, right? And there is no way ever I'm gonna look forward more to The Lost Legacy than I will to, you know, my complete, the hype that I felt for Uncharted 4. The reason why is because Uncharted 4 was Nathan Drake's story coming to an end. And that in itself is huge, right? And so when you see now that, oh, The Lost Legacy is a cool little expansion slash standalone Uncharted game coming out afterwards, where you're playing with Chloe and Nadine. Don't get me wrong, Chloe, of course, great character, but it's not Nathan Drake. And Nadine, well, you know what I mean, right? Nadine is just, yeah, it's cool, I guess, but Nadine was the villain in Uncharted 4. Yeah, it's nice that she's there, but she's, of course, in no way she has the same sort of like attachment for me personally as a character like Drake does. Chloe in a way somewhat does, but of course also not on the same level. That's the only thing that The Lost Legacy has against it. And so, of course, many of you will know, personally speaking, in my opinion, Uncharted 3 is my least favorite out of the 4 main Uncharted games. The reason why is because I thought the villains were a little underwhelming, you know, the story had some flaws in the things it didn't explain. Mainly the thing I don't like about it is the pacing. At many points it just feels way too slow, just not well paced. I wasn't really enjoying it too much. The locations can be a bit generic in the game. The set pieces were awesome, but at the same time also a little over the top, which takes away from the sense of realism in it a tiny bit. So, you know, like Uncharted 3 to me was a very flawed game. I still enjoyed it. You know, it's it's an adventure with Nathan Drake, Sully, and Elena. Of course I'm gonna love it, and I totally see it as part of the main series, of course, don't get me wrong. But it has some flaws, and I look at it in the way that, yeah, it's simply not, it's not one of my favorites personally. And I look now at The Lost Legacy and I'm like, well, what I've seen so far, the story looks very interesting. Naughty Dog, of course, has learned from all the mistakes that they've made with the previous games. Uncharted 4's story was the best story yet, so with the fact that many of the same people are working on this, of course, yeah, they're once again gonna pull off a great story. The villain looked amazing so far. I really liked the way he was coming across, like a very silent, subtle villain, but you know, a little bit more, yeah, just those mind games, which kind of remind me of Marlowe, I guess, in a way, but just, he already seems to be a much more well-developed villain so far. I really like the way he's looking right now. Asaf he's called, of course. The locations, I simply, you know, it's personal preference, but I love the locations in The Lost Legacy. Going back to India, reminding me of those Uncharted 2 vibes in a way, you know, with the Hindu kind of statues and everything like that, the beautiful temples that we already saw, and vistas, locations. Yeah, I mean, I'm just a personal sucker for it. I thought Uncharted 4, even in a way, somewhat disappointed in the locations because they were a little bit more generic in some way, just like Uncharted 3. 1 and mainly 2 really had those beautiful locations that I personally love, and The Lost Legacy kind of returns to that. So I really, you know, I'm really glad to see that. As far as pacing goes, we'll have to wait and see. How big are the set pieces gonna be? We don't know, but even Bruce Straley tweeted recently, of course, the director of Uncharted 4, that according to him, The Lost Legacy will probably have the best set pieces in an Uncharted game yet. That's amazing to hear. We already saw Chloe kind of like hanging from a helicopter and stuff, which looked awesome, and Chloe and Nadine themselves hanging from a certain statue, I think, as well. Yeah, these are the kind of things I can't predict yet as far as set pieces go, and if the pacing will be faster or not. I thought one of the things personally in Uncharted 4 was that the pacing was simply a bit too slow, and hopefully they looked at that reception from the fans and they made this game a little bit faster. It's very possible, we'll have to wait and see about it, but if they do that, then that's gonna be great too. And as far as graphics go, of course, you know, the game looks just as good as Uncharted 4, if not even slightly better. So really, right now I'm starting to wonder, where am I ultimately going to rank this game amongst the other Uncharted games? It's a little easy to just, it's easy to just say that it will be all the way down on the list simply for the fact that it's not Uncharted the way we know it, but at the same time, and I get that, and I still feel that way about it, where, you know, Uncharted 3 is an adventure with Nathan Drake, Sully, and Elena, like I said. That just already makes it have such a huge kind of like head start or advantage over this one, right? But at the same time, as a game on itself, looking at what the story will be, the locations, hopefully the pacing and set pieces and the graphics, The Lost Legacy might very well be just super comparable as far as quality goes to any of the other ones. So I'm very curious to see where it will ultimately rank, and I feel like it's possible for it to rank, you know, somewhere among Uncharted 2 and 4, and maybe below that, but above 3 and 1. Yeah, as an adventure on its own. So I would like to know your thoughts on that personally, of course, as well, so let me know in the comments how you feel about it. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a quick like if you did, because it really, of course, supports my channel. And then with that being said, thanks a lot for watching. Hope to see you again next time.